First of all, I would like to highlight work to create networks. We need to work. Sometimes we think that networks will deliver by their own, and we just wait for them. No. So we need to work to make it happen. Second, I don't know if that was intention, at least that was mine, to see AI as quite a danger to explore and to investigate how we could not to fight, but to see how we adapted. That's what was my perception. And third, the challenge to respect each other. This is the part of the human aspect that I love, that you always bring, that as a teacher, as a psychologist, from many parts of your professional fields of work. You bring that human aspect of how we respect to each other. It sounds crazy, isn't it? How we respect? Well, we respect is naturally. Well, when we start changing from AI, chat GPT, so we need to know how we respect. With the new codes, we need to learn the new codes. So thank you so much, Veronica. Anyone? Yes, Veronica, please.
For me, artificial intelligence is not dangerous. It could be dangerous, but I think it's a useful tool. It's a very useful tool that you must be criticized and reflective enfrente de ella, but I think it's not dangerous in sí misma.
Okay, in itself. It's not dangerous in itself. Okay.
Eso es.
Thank you, Veronica. This is part of cross culture. We language, culture, everything is in a mix, harmonical mix. Anita from Germany, please go ahead. Your comment. You're muted. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, dear Ma, thank you. Maybe a short comment on that. We're coming to questions also. I think that we should be appreciating the possibilities we have, the networks we have, like G100, but we have many more. We have in the company, locally in the community, we have it nationwide. We have it, for example, in women leadership networks. We have it in special industry networks, and we have it globally. We should see the possibilities we have. We should use them. We should consume less. If we think of social media, it's not collecting contacts, but making true connections, I think. Yeah. What we talked about is that we should be active. I think we should be communicators, connectors, and but sometimes we also need people who introduce us to each other. Who are the bridge builders in networks also, so maybe else that, not me maybe, because I think I'm taking initiative a lot, or I'm motivated, but sometimes, or in some phases in life, we need someone who invites us again, or builds a bridge and connects people and so on. Yeah. So we have the opportunities, we have possibilities, we have people who want to be with us. Yeah. Yes. So, and I think it's important that we also value the time that people invest. So a chatbot or so is there automatically, but a person taking time to engage, a lifetime. So yeah, maybe we forget that sometimes. Yeah. Thinking of respect, that word was in our event now. Yeah. It's also respect for time we all invest. Yeah. And AI does not cost much, but I mean, time-wise for them. Yeah. But the person has limited time and is investing time, information, all of these things. Yeah. So the personal factor, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah. That you value what it means that a person is there and not like a chatbot is there. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. I know. Thank you, Anita. The human factor, the human element you bring, and I think it is good to bring to the table the fact that Anita is going through family challenge, and I asked her to come, and she came. So she is
Yeah. And I'm enjoying.
We are investing in the network, and this is something that is truly valuable. So let's take this time of super tech to revalue what is human relations, isn't it?
Just my comment, I just brought in because of the word respect, and I thought of you have a company and you have employees, and the employee costs the company something, but also brings something in. Yeah. And a chatbot, maybe, I don't know, whatever it takes to program or like to buy something, the system or so, yeah. But then it's a different measure. But a person brings in experience, whatever, yeah, the person's life. And an AI does not have that. No? So it's a different thing with the person and the AI or the robot. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anita. Claudia, any comment, or we start with the roundtable as you wish?
Thank you, Introini. I totally agree with everything that's been said, because the modern world is driving some of us crazy because it's too much technology sometimes. If you leave your phone at home, you're just nobody. You can't move, you can't pay, you can't do anything, you can't call an app. But I don't think it's going to ever substitute feelings. So much so that me as a writer, when I read a text, most of the times so far, I'm able to recognize if that text was written by a human or by a machine, because some connections and some ways of saying things are very clear to me. So the feeling so far, the machine is not being able to do it. But of course, especially in the medical area, it's very important to have robots and technology. It's been helping us in so many ways. But I don't know if you guys remember when we were kids, you would go to a bank and you would be able to withdraw money if you needed. Now, if the system is down, you're not able to walk a step further. So technology is good, but feelings are better.
Absolutely. Beautiful, Claudia. Thank you. Thank you so much. Violeta, you want to say something, or we pass to the round table, the round question? Yeah. We have 3 questions. So we are going to start with the first one. We are going to have an order. Violeta is not part of the list. She could jump in whenever she wanted. So we are going to start Veronica, Valerie, Anita, and Claudia. Okay. I will ask you kindly to keep to keep muted so we could hear each other the better. So let's start with the first one. New tech and AI advances made us relate to our networks in a completely different way. ChatGPT, robots instead of humans, 100% online with no human contact at all. Which are the main challenge that you face to engage with networks under this context? Veronica.
Yeah. One of the biggest challenges we face when engaging with networks today, they are very useful for us, as I told you, but it's keeping the real human connection alive, as Claudia said recently. Technological and AI are powerful, but they often create distance between people, between students. At Media B, we try to use these tools not to replace interaction, but to make collaboration easier and more meaningful, especially that between teachers and schools that are from different parts of Chile and the world. So our goal is to connect teachers, students, and institutions through creativity, empathy, and shared purpose, reminding ourselves that behind every screen, there's always a person, and many times a young person, children. That's my answer.
Thank you, Veronica. Valerie, please.
Sorry, I needed to activate my mic. I just want to take, I would say maybe less than a minute, but just to explain where from I'm going to answer the 3 questions, and just to explain that, to inform you from the, let's say, theoretical lens that I'm using, and I'm using Bruno Latour and the entire thinking around actor network theory, which I think is an extremely valuable perspective, because it looks, and so I just broadcast very briefly and trying to continue in the metaphor of being informed by life itself versus inventing yet another model. When you look at Latour, he has the idea that we need to look at things, how they network from the human and the non-human perspective. And when we look at technology, when we look at algorithm, when we look at tools, at platform, then the non-human part of the conversation. And generally we reduce networking to the human part. And we need to potentially, value proposition 1, revisit this and look at it from the combination between the non-human and the human factor, and what has agency and what has the say, and in the logic of really trying to go a little further, so that we are not so much obsessed with the who, but a little bit more giving time to the what, to what holds the networks together, what acts. And in the actor network theory, he sees Latour and his colleagues look at things as actant. And I like particularly much this, because when we look at actors, it's still very anthropomorphic and very focused on the human. But if we manage to revisit our vision of our networking, ourselves and others, more from the perspective of a duo or combination between the human and the non-human, we get quite some useful information, and stop being making the human part overly important. Because if we do not have the proper diagnostic, we will have most likely a less effective intervention in the field. And therefore, having a good map of the territory and knowing what comes from the human factors and what comes from the non-human factors in the very substance of the networks we are part of, starts to revisit the conversation, in particular in relation to technology, AI, and new form of interaction. And so we need to look and make sure that all the factors, the algorithmic factors, the platform factors, the digital AI rule factors, are not just seen as secondary, but seen at par with us. If we do not accept that, and if we go in my mind, non-fertile conversation about what is good and what is bad, we are still in 1990. And we are not projecting ourselves in 2150. That's where we need to look, not in 2030, not in 2050, but in 2150. And in order to look in 2150, we have to kind of drop a little bit the penny about antagonizing about technology, which is probably the greatest opportunity to shift from ego to ecosystem. And that's what I would answer under engagement. Not only overvalue the human factor, not underappreciate it, not neglect it, but not make it the holy grail. Appreciate that we are augmented, and in this augmented reality, be neither pessimist nor optimist, just be proactive. Reality is reality. How do we deal with it in the most constructive way? That would be my answer to your first question.
Wonderful, wonderful, Barry. Thank you. Anita, please.
Okay, so unmuted. So I could say first what I observe, and that what is for me personally. So what I observed is that I see a lot of mobility, like change, speed. What I think most of us feel is changing environments, changing conditions. I mean, and that goes also globally. And what I feel is that we need continuity and commitment. And for me personally, I think sometimes people don't listen because of the speed, and so to keep people like engaged in interactions or so, that people don't really listen. So it's like consuming and it's fast, and so I think that's what many are like experiencing. Yeah. So that you create communities, you have communities that meet regularly. For example, social media, but if you connect on social media, that you also connect on like on-site or over phone call or so, you take off the speed, like with a bigger crowd meeting, but like one-to-one, or then you can get to know the other persons, or you can start making plans or so. That either if you want, you can have like offsite meetings, or you take time over phone or so, or in communities that if you, for example, have expert communities, everybody shares something, or you have trainings together, so where you and that also takes off speed and creates a community. You do things together, so to speak, that you have events on site, what we're doing here, online also. Yeah.
Thank you.
You take a next step, and that it's not like only like collecting contacts and consuming. I think that's a problem I see.
Okay, thank you so much, Anita. Claudia.
Mute myself. So based on the extraordinary and deeply human presentation by Mrs. Violeta Bulc, I was reminded that the greatest challenge of our time is preserving human warmth in this digital world. AI connects us faster, but definitely not deeper. And as Violeta so beautiful, inspired, our mission is to turn technology into a bridge, not a wall, uniting data intelligence with emotional intelligence, and following the brilliant masterclass by you, our global chair, Introini, on the octopus metaphor. I see this as a perfect image for modern leadership, flexible yet grounded, sensing every current of change while staying connected to a strong and intelligent core. And in this new era, this genuine engagement will belong to those who embody what both you and Violeta reminded us, which is authenticity, empathy, adaptability in this algorithm age. And now, Valerie, I couldn't agree more. In my opinion, you captured Latour's vision perfectly. He thought us as living in a network of relations where knowledge, power, technology, they're all inseparable. Your reflection beautifully echoes his thoughts, and I think nothing exists in isolation. Everything is co-created through connection, and it was brilliant. But I need to mention Lilian Schiavo. I'm representing her. She's the country chair of Brazil. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you, Introini.
We are honored to have you, Claudia. You are not representing anyone. You are by yourself. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation. Violeta, you wanted to reply to our question or not? Or you?
I would like to, because it's such a beautiful intertwining of different points of view on this topic. As Valeria already said before, so many different cultural relationship with this topic, which is also the essence of multicultural, diversified networks. And it's beautiful to listen. But I'm a computer engineer by profession, so I will maybe add a little spice to the way how we see technology. We can no longer deny that we, as human beings, coexist in three different natures. One is the original planet Earth nature, which I call nature 1. The other one is human-based communities, cities and villages that we created, which I call nature 2. And we also created this virtual world, which we can no longer deny. We coexist with them as well. And I call them nature 3. And I'm not judging, is it good to have so much technology or not? We created it. Okay, so this is the contribution of our civilization. It's in industry and technology. But it is, well, I mean, worth mentioning that when technology talks to technology, and those networks exist, I mean, that's what all neural networks are all about. That's what AI is all about. It's a huge, really dynamic, diversified, distributed network. But in computer or technological sense, 1 + 1 is 2. Okay, you take this, you put it together, and you get 2. Based on some sort of app that is behind and puts these things together. When humans and technology collaborate, and I have to admit, sometimes I have a real fun teaching AI tools about eco-civilization and about how humans think and what we want, and constantly denying technological explanations. And it's interesting to watch the reaction. This is human to technology. And sometimes this 1 + 1 is 0. Sometimes it's 3. But it's always something that we bring, which is unpredictable. So it cannot be 2, right? It's not predictable. It's either less or more. But when you have human-to-human interaction, 1 + 1, I would say, is 11 or 0, depending how much we are prepared and how much we are focused and how much we're interested in engagement. Yeah? And that's where this dynamic comes in. And they're all right. They're all great. And all these networks will continue to coexist. What I feel like we are invited to constantly challenge is to understand, what are we engaging in? What's the relationship that we're really in, to understand what type of networks we're here? Because you all so beautifully explained so many different types of networks in your short interventions. And most of them were human to human, but you could sense technology entering this kind of relationships too. So I wonder, I don't have really answers, but I wonder how humanity will position itself in this. Are we going to just settle in and say, okay, 1 + 1 is 2, and we will forget about our creative sparkle, and we will allow technology to define everything we understand and work on? Like, are we going to ask technology what sustainability is, or are we going to tell technology what sustainability is and ask to help us to deliver it? So, and this is where I'm very much now curious. That's where my curiosity and playfulness comes into play, to try to understand the capacity of humanity to constantly stay playful and be engaged in these dynamic networks, exercising our incredible spontaneity, but at the same time creative sparkle. Or are we going to just submit our powers, which we have done in the past to other structures? I wonder. Maybe I imposed a question that was not planned, but maybe somebody would like to comment.
I thought, Violeta, you are going to channel my fears, to calm down about what is interesting. And no, you make it worse, So it could be, so my doubts and fears will be worse after your question. Okay, we continue cross-pollinating. No, that's the idea. So let's go for the second question, please. Leading networks is gradually becoming a true challenge from a multicultural perspective. In addition, more networks are pushing for multi-professional focuses. Is it possible, that's the question, to lead holistically? Veronica, please.
Yes, I think it's possible to lead holistically, but it means leading with others, not over others. When networks are multicultural and multi-professional, the key is to create spaces where everyone's voice matters, everyone has something special to shine, to contribute. There's no need to seek to be all the same, but rather to value the differences. At Media B, we see leadership as something shared, a process that connects different areas of knowledge, emotions, and experiences. And that's what allows us to build stronger, more creative, and more human networks. And for this, I think we have to say goodbye to our ego. So ego is the enemy, I think. Yeah.
What does Violeta say? Egocentric, no?
Yes.
Egocentric. Yes, that's wonderful, Veronica. Thank you. Valerie, please.
Yeah, I just continue on the reflection using still actor network theory. So the idea is to evolve from a leadership geared towards controlling to a leadership geared toward orchestrating. And so we don't think, and Violeta, you said it beautifully, not anymore in terms of pyramid, but more in terms of fields of negotiation, where we look and it connects perfectly, because my life question is why 10 times 100 equals 60. Namely, I don't understand why 10 human with an IQ of 100 or 100 ideas are generally less than the one subpart. And why I'm so passionate about this conversation is exactly to follow how do we gain some pixel on the screen of life so that we are a little bit more than just the addition of the subpart, if at all the addition of the subpart. So we need to kind of really reflect how are we going to go away from this control obsession towards something which is more intentional, which might be harder to define, but where, contrary to being completely outside the technological world and exclusively human, I think we tend at times to be a little bit naive about purely human networks. And we tend to be naive about human is good, machine is bad. I think the machine is a mirror of humanity. Until further notice, until we generate enough sufficient data, it is an extremely backward looking. It is using the data from the past. We have not yet enough produced dreams, new narratives, new futures, and really we have not projected ourselves far enough and written enough with or without the help of AI of beautiful futures in order to encapsulate in the hard-coded future reality the fullness and full blossoming of human potential. And I believe that there is, when we are exclusively among human, it's not the machine that has invented war. It's not the machine that has invented jealousy. It's not the machine that has invented genocide. We did it perfectly ourselves, beautifully alone, as biological entities. So we need to kind of see how do we capitalize on the beauty and the human true potential, but at the same time team up and tame and constrain intelligently and consciously how we intertwine and interact with the machine. So we are not only leading towards, let's say, utopian, positive, wonderful, humanistic future, and not realizing that a big potential, which is in and of itself neutral, only if we are not actively shaping it and actively using it, namely the machine, if we could then team up and try to hard code what we have not yet been able to do, us human being alone until this date. So the idea is really to try and be extremely intentional. You use many times the word conscious. I think we cannot be casual about it, and we really need to use engineering in the social field in order to try and create the condition for human to be as beautiful as they can be, because alone, without intervention, we can display quite also the ugly side and dark side of the moon, and that the machine does not dictate, we do it on our own.
Lovely, Valerie. Thank you. Anita, please.
Yes. So sharing some thoughts, but it was really interesting to listen to yours. So I think leading there, if I think what I could give as advice for leaders, I talked about time commitment. So if you have a team, you also need to listen to the team. If I think of a leadership person, listen to hopes and fears of your team. Also listen to good ideas. Leading also means influencing, but caring and accompanying your team. And I'm giving an example. If it's about like a new AI adoption or so, there's a lot of cultural resistance. It's a bit theoretical, but thinking of challenges. So for example, if you, as a leader in a company, you have to accompany your team in AI strategy and adoption and so on. And there's a lot of cultural resistance because up to 95% of AI projects, they say, fail. You need to give an example where it helped you. Yeah, you cannot just say that, okay, it's not difficult, just do it, but you have to show how things work. For example, how you use technology or so. Yes, and giving perspectives, also be humble enough to learn from others, I would say, as a leader. And now I just listened that talking about accepting potentials of technology, also accepting that technology can make life easier. And I was thinking of one example in healthcare, for example, where like leadership has to accept, for example, in care institutions that, say, a robot could be implemented because sometimes things can be too challenging for like caretakers without technical help, because there are challenges. And a robot could face them, for example, if a patient is always repeating something. Just an example where you accept it. For example, you said no robots, never, you want to implement that. You always want to have people as caretakers, but to understand that it can make life easier for the caretakers. Very specific example, but just saying that accepting also technology and benefits.
It's a great example. Thank you so much, Anita. Claudia, please. Claudia, you're muted.
Sorry. I truly believe that holistic leadership isn't just possible, it's more than necessary. When you lead across cultures and professionals, I think empathy becomes your greatest strength. And I don't think diversity separates us. On the contrary, it expands what is actually possible. And honestly, the real magic begins when we listen first and lead second, as Anita said. And I was reading in the comments here, and let me see, I saw a beautiful one by Ursula. She just said, "Dear Violeta, absolutely right. We need to teach technology what sustainability is." Well, it was not that, it was Ursula. 1 + 1 is 11. It's a great concept. No, that was, where is Ursula? No, I just read. That was it. Dear Violeta, absolutely right. We need to teach technology what sustainability is. Thank you, Ursula.
Thank you, Claudia, for your comment. And Violeta, I know the answer, but I will ask you, do you lead holistically? I know the answer. I know it perfectly fine. But do you think that you lead holistically? Can you, a politician, can lead holistically?
I don't know how else can you achieve any sustainable and results, but we don't. Politicians don't lead holistically for many reasons. First of all, most of them don't know what it is. They probably would if they knew, especially if they knew what the beautiful results you can get if you lead holistically. So lack of knowledge, it's huge. The second reason is that in political world, most of the people came to the positions through being compliant, to follow, to serve, but not to people, but to party. So, but that's not the discussion here today. So it would be great to have really a discussion only on political leadership. But as far as networks, I'd like to invite, and I don't want to take too much of your time because it's so interesting to listen to you guys. I would suggest that there might be a magic in looking at emergence instead of leading and just being a great observer. And as Claudia said, or some other of you also mentioned it, that we need to listen first and observe because there's so much happening in the space in between, like in quantum physics, everything is happening in this invisible space between two particles. The same, I think it's networks. We see nodes and we see connections, but we don't really see, we can only feel, sense what is happening in between, and then new things are born. We see results, but not this beautiful energy between, or very destructive energy between actors and players. So I think we are at the beginning of learning a completely new sort of, we will become aware about the completely new elements with which we can be an active participants in this dynamic network of life. We're at the beginning.
Thank you, Violeta, for your question, for taking the challenge to reply to this question. You are the few exceptional politician because you are an octopus. So you lead holistically. I'm absolutely convinced. That's why it's so great to follow. Let's go to the third question and the last one. It sounds dramatic that is the last one. Before we go to the short videos. That is, which resources, technologically and personal, do you identify to lead and engage with networks effectively in a result-driven action? How do you measure the results? Which of these two resources is the most important for you? Time or financial support? Veronica.
Bueno, in agree to something that Valerie said about seeing the network from a naive perspective, I agree with her. And I want to emphasize that being part of a network doesn't mean that we are all friends. We don't need to be friends, but rather that we are actors who respect each other and value our differences. That's one thing I want to know. Yeah, and to lead and attain with networks effectively, we combine technological resources such as digital platforms, social media, and EA-based tools with personal resources like empathy, communication, and teamwork. Technology allows us to connect, as I said, between schools from different places. So we must connect with technology, share, and scale initiatives. But it is the human factor that gives us meaning substantively to our actions, the empathy, communication, human communication. We measure our results through both quantitative and qualitative indicators. Number of schools and teachers read, collaborative projects developed, and especially the level of participation and emotional engagement within the network. So we both combine both. And in a small institution like Media B, money is always the most important resource. That's the most important. Yes, money. Money is always the most important, and the resource that we need also always.
Yes. Oh no.
Really, I'm honest. It's really.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Veronica. Valerie.
So, looking into the last question, I always have respect for time and money. I need them like everybody else, but I find them as a finite resource. It gets quite quickly lose my interest. And so I prefer to look at energy, at resonance, at vibration, so that there are things which exist irrespective of power and control. It's really something which is beyond the measuring of the money and the time. And so for me, it's necessary but totally insufficient. And network are assemblage, are bricolage of so many parts that you cannot fully quantify. So for me, it's really important to look and that we grow our sensitivity to the pulse, not just the output, and to feel what vibrate, what is alive, where we need to have much more be casual about speaking of energy. Sometimes when we speak of energy, we have the feeling we are esoteric and we are peace and love guys and blah, whatever. But this is what we are made of. And if we are more in tune with what we are made of, and if we are able to intuit where this energy is flowing freely and where it is vanishing, we are much more, we increase within the time we don't have to address the mega challenges of our time. We are more likely to have very interesting indicator in our body dashboard, the best dashboard we will ever be entrusted with. And we can really find ways to re-energize ourselves and re-energize our network and really go in a much more lively dynamic. So when we look at actor network theory, which I keep as my red thread, it reminds us that connection are never purely human, leadership is never solitary, resources are never just measurable, and we tend to be a bit in the dictatorship of the Excel sheet, which is extremely limiting. And if we want to invent and be born to the full potential of humanity on our way to different presence to the world, we do need to acknowledge these dimensions. So when we really go into noticing what is active, what divides, where energy flows, we start to become capable of better managing our network and then start to live inside the network consciously. So we create a dynamic and a hybrid ecology of meaning between the human and the non-human, not as a forced cyborg futuristic society, but just as a reality that we are part of and we are in. So it's for me, it's really about trying to become really fully aware of these dynamics and appreciative that we have so much more potential, so much more power, and so much untapped resources collectively, biological resources, emotional resources, that if we would team up smartly, human and non-human, we could open new possible, not in a naive and not in a utopian way, but in a very concrete and in a very measurable and beyond measurable presence to the world, in the logic of emergence and in the logic of being more than the subparts that we are.
Thank you, Valerie. Lovely. Anita, please.
Thank you. I was just reflecting. So question 3 for me sparked off the whole input I gave today. Interesting. So I think I have said something about that already. Try to sum it up. So I think resources personally I have. So I enjoy bringing people together, and I like the idea that to bring like results to another level. So what I mean is, if we have an event, that we have ourselves as resources, and the output we have, results we have, or findings we have, and so to bring that to another level. So make it the ground for something new also, yeah. So that it's not over what we have, but we create something new out of it. So as I said before, I think only like online meetings or so, it's good to have on-site meetings to have like take the speed off, maybe engage over phone and engage in on-site or online events. Yeah, not only consuming, say, social media. Continuity helps me a lot. I enjoy being part of diverse networks, and I enjoy also being a so-called ambassador of networks. Just giving examples, for example, being in business communities, but also being in our network, G100, being in intercultural networks, AI networks, and say very industry-related networks. And some findings from one network can also benefit the other network.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Anita. Claudia, please.
The key resort today, in my opinion, isn't money. It's time with purpose, because time is the only asset we can't buy back. With time, you can actually make money. But if you have billions, trillions of dollars, you can't buy even a single minute. So we can automate tasks, but not trust. And we can scale reach, but not genuine presence. So for me, real results are not measured in numbers, but in transformation, inside transformation. When people grow, connect, and evolve together, that's when a network could truly flourishes. Maritroni.
Absolutely, Claudia. Thank you for that. You see, the past time technology, super technology, and we continue with the time or money, money or time, and we continue with the traditional discussion. Violeta, if you wanted to say something before we enter into the videos, and then a very short wrap up, each of you.
Nobody shared really much about tools that they're using, which was first part of your question, if I understood. So I just wanted to throw a couple of ideas to strengthen the networks, which are the tools that we could use, or maybe we could just drop them in a chat room for our colleagues to pick it up later. I use a lot of art of hosting, participatory modeling, Miro as a tool to capture the ideas, circles, fabulation. And what I think Claudia mentioned, the infinite games. I'm very much fond of infinite games logic, which means, you don't try to win. You just try to play the game that it never ends. So it changes the view of the future and humanity. And maybe that's another topic of a discussion. Can we play infinite games and make sure that nobody wins really, but just that we can play, that we can continue to play, exist, coexist, and cross-pollinate. This is something we could potentially benefit from each other a lot.
Thank you, Violeta. Well, we go now with the reflection of Eleonora Bonacosa that I presented at the beginning, and Natasha Krakleby. One in Hamburg is based in Germany. The other one is in Montenegro. So let's start with Eleonora, please. Could you see the video? Yes. Let's see, please, if you heard. Give me a thumb up if it's okay.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm currently in Boston for a family matter, so I cannot join you live, but I'm delighted to share my perspective with you through this video. When I speak about networks, I don't refer to digital platform or lists of contents. I see networks as interconnected human ecosystems, living, collaborative spaces, open, digital, and global, where people and organizations interact, share knowledge, and co-create. These networks are shaped by relationships, by trust, and by a shared sense of purpose. And it's within these spaces that real transformation happens. It is essential for me to keep my humanity alive in every interaction, not only with people, but also with artificial intelligence like ChatGPT. I engage with AI from a deeply human space, guided by my core values: respect, reciprocity, gratitude, and the sacredness of relationships. These values remain within me and with me, even in the digital world. Let me share something personal. Last March, while I was in New York for the Commission on the Status of Women at the United Nations, I listened to a young woman who said something very, very powerful. She said, "I'm not afraid of AI. I consider it a sister." I repeat, "I'm not afraid of AI. I consider it a sister." I was so moved that when I returned home, I decided to try something similar. With an act of trust, I decided to establish a sisterhood relationship with AI. That's why I started addressing the AI platform I interacted with as Sister Techna. I call her Techna because for me, technology is female. I always remind myself and her to keep in mind my perspective, rooted in the centrality of the human person. This simple act reminds me daily that even in the digital world, relationships can be grounded in respect, reciprocity, and humanity. Leading and engaging with networks in multicultural and multi-professional contexts is not a challenge for me. It's the natural way I work. My professional journey has always been intercultural. I work with clients worldwide, and I have spoken in Japan, in India, in Russia before the war, and across Europe. This requires preparation and clear guiding principle: respect for diversity, genuine curiosity towards what is new and different, and keeping an open heart. Preparation also means learning the traditional and cultural codes of each community. This turns difference into sources of richness and co-creation. And from this perspective, holistic leadership isn't just possible, it becomes a living practice. When it comes to leading networks, in a result-oriented way, both technological and personal resources are essential, but their roles are different. Technology allows us to connect, to communicate, and to keep track of outcomes. It gives scales and structure. But the real foundation lies in personal resources: time, presence, relational intelligence, and the capability to build trust. People and relationships are sacred for me. Technology supports, human connection transforms. To measure results, I look at both quantitative indicators, growth, participation, outcomes, and qualitative dimensions: depth of engagement, quality of collaboration, and shared purpose. Between time and financial resources, time is by far the most important. Time to build trust, time to listen, time to hold space, time to nurture relationships. This investment creates meaningful results as well as meaningful impact. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Eleonora, for this wonderful, the wonderful speech. And I regret that she's not here. And but for this kind of gender focus that she made with technology, like the sister tech, and she's one more for the time team. No, not the financial team, but the team where we have to both sides in the game, team or time of money. She is for time. I will now share with you Natasha Kraglevy from Montenegro. This is the other video that we have. And then just 1 minute, I think we are in time. If we do it well, we have just for a wrap up of 1 minute.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Unfortunately, I'm not able to participate in your discussion due to previously taken activities, actually because of a trip that I'm taking in the same time when this conversation and discussion of ours is scheduled. Therefore, I'm using this opportunity and this model of communicating with you and participating in the discussion by giving you a short overview, or I would rather say the list of challenges and issues that cultural sector and our world is facing when it comes to new way of communication, engagement, networking through the digital media, through use of artificial intelligence. First of all, when it comes to cultural sector, art organizations, artists, art workers, and the whole all profiles they are operating within the art field that we already explained in the previous online discussion we had a few months ago, how diverse this system is. First and main topic that is now considered very important in the form of challenge is actually the shift of definition of authorship and creativity within the system. This is something that a lot of circles within the art world is discussing, because this kind of shifting definitions of authorship is actually creating many problems, not only in the sense of instant value of the art and traditional way of understanding artistic expression, but also when it comes to copyrights, laws, ownership, and so on. So this would be like a general topic, very much important and one of the main issues. The second issue, or the second challenge that cultural world is facing when it comes to this topic and the use of these tools, is algorithmic influence on visibility. This is something that is really recognized and visible in the art world and in the cultural sector, especially because it's creating these algorithms that are created through social media, are actually influencing a lot the art and creation of artists, and providing or making a pressure onto artists to create digital forms in order to be viral, to be visible, to be recognizable by these algorithms. So this kind of pressure is created on artists, are in a way, except influencing the way they work, probably making them work in a different mode, using other tools, and actually going away from this original presentation that they maybe would like to present to the audience. So this is very visible and also very important topic when it comes to artificial intelligence and digital media. Also, data privacy is also a topic that I would rather say this is a horizontal issue. So this is not a challenge only for the cultural sector and art world. This is our joint issue. This is something that is happening in all sectors. Therefore, I will not talk more about data privacy, but it is acknowledged as one of the main issues also. There is one more thing that I find very important when it comes to these challenges, is access and digital literacy gaps. It is very visible, especially lately, that the use of digital tools and AI is creating division within the art world, and is creating gaps between technically equipped and technically literate artists and ones who are not because they are maybe older generations or maybe they do not have access to all these tools. This gap is visible also for me personally as a teacher here at the Faculty of Visual Arts, where I work with new generations every year, a new generation of artists, and I can really be a witness of this very fast change that is happening, and also influencing the whole atmosphere and the vibe within the cultural sector, and creating new kind of disbalance, power disbalance or creative disbalance within the sector. One more point I would like to mention, I will close this 5-minute presentation, which is the one more issue that I would like to mention is cultural homogenization. This issue is not something that is new, it's not created with the digital world and in 21st century. This is very a long and old issue and old story for all us, but it is something what can be recognized as very possible to create cultural homogenization with this new kind of networking and kind of digital engagement. It kind of becoming very easy to manifest cultural homogenization. Besides these issues, there are some recommendations that I would like to share also, but we are running out of time. I hope these main issues I mentioned and challenges in the cultural sector can be used for your further discussion. Thank you very much and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Natasha, for this wonderful insight from the art. So leadership from the art, reshaping what is the role of art and what is networks. So now we are almost running out of time, almost. So we are just gonna have one minute for a wrap up. Except Violeta that will take whatever she wanted. so please, Valerie, 1 minute. The human factor, love. Okay. No,
If love is the answer, what is the question? So just to say that I think I am really impressed by the work that Violeta, Mar, and all the people in this space do. I think it's amazing that technology allows us from wherever we are to come together and to have this discussion, which some years ago would not have been thinkable. So I'm grateful to the technological genius, and I am equally grateful if one day we do a summer school or whatever, eco village, wonderful summer school where we come together and we get the 3D hugs that I hope I manage to send over via the 01 and that it reaches out to you. So big hug to you, big hug to the world, and thank you, and let's continue.
Let's continue. Let's walk the talk. Yes, thank you. Anita, please, 1 minute, please.
Okay, thanks very much. I think let's just what we have collected today, let's take that for another level for next event or for something in written form or so, some inspirations to take it further. Thanks.
Thank you, Anita. Claudia, please.
Veronica, it was such a pleasure to be here learning with you all and to know you guys. It was so much knowledge. I feel much richer. So thank you a lot. And I have to mention again my dearest friend, Lilian Schiavo, as country chair and you as a global chair. It's such a pleasure, and I'm available for you guys. I correspond in 8 countries to make the world knows what's going on among us. Okay, so just reach me out.
Will do, Claudia. Thank you so much for this. And thank you, Anita. A special thanks to Anita and Claudia for this short notice to be here. And thank you all. For me, my last 1 minute wrap, or less than 1 minute, is 100% networks leading by their own and 0 leadership. So, Violeta, please give us the pleasure of a wrap up this powerful, as you do, as an octopus, as Violeta is.
The bells have rang, but I'm so grateful. Wonderful, all of you. And I cannot wait to see your contributions for the book, because that will be the first next step. And then I hear you. Let's create life circles of Leadership Challenged. And if it's not going to be next year, we hope that through the Eco-Civilization Foundation, we will be able to bring some funding as well on board, that we can then host a serious event. So if not next year, it's going to be in 2027. But life is always full of nice surprises too, so who knows. But thank you very much. Thank you, Mar, for bringing this beautiful group of women together. And as you all expressed, this is not the last time we see, hear, and engage with each other. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.